Shall we begin?
What's going on, everyone? It feels amazing to be back. A quick, sincere thank you to those that have hung around, and welcome to anyone new that's interested in indie games. Today, we're going to take a closer look at Murder House, which is by a very small horror team called Puppet Combo. The next few reviews are really going to be horror-related, just based on the games I've picked up. I have some other games on my radar as well, but please feel free to comment below on any upcoming indie games of any genre that you might possibly want me to review. Plan on seeing 2 or so videos a month for 2021. It's something that I can commit to, so that's what I have planned. As always, a like is appreciated if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for future reviews, Twitch compilations, and wherever the heck YouTube rabbit hole takes us. You know how that goes. And just one more quick note. When I do these reviews, specifically with these indie games, many times we're dealing with 1 or 2 man shops. It's not a large studio, so I take that into consideration. I take the controls, the story, the overall gameplay, the cost of the game. Is it worth the money? And at the end of the day, did I enjoy my time with it? So, with all of that out of the way, let's move along to the reason you're all here, and it's time to visit a very demented Easter Bunny in Murder House. Puppet Combo brings us Murder House, which is an 80s slasher movie style story with this really cool, unique VHS overlay to give you that old school movie feel. Initially, you're probably going to look at the PS1 style graphics and animations and maybe think it's a turnoff, but quickly I promise you'll find that the pixelated artwork does not take away from the unique story. The gameplay is simple enough, and there's plenty of edge of your seat story to make you want to be scared and interested in what's going on. What I loved was the sea-level acting. The lines are hilarious. The 80s music is phenomenal. And the puzzles are interesting yet very simple. You just got to be careful of what you're going to miss out on. But realistically, what I am looking for at the end of the day, and hopefully I can help you all decide, is whether or not you think that a $12 game is worth 3.5 to 4.5 hours, because this is a rather short game. To me, if it's enjoyable, it's the same thing as going to see a movie, right? I was able to get it on sale for about $9, and I wasn't disappointed. To me, $3 an hour, again, as if I was going to a movie. Movies are now $15-16 in some cities. This was definitely worth it. So as we move along to the game, before you really start to dive into it, I would really recommend taking a moment to look at or change the key bindings that are associated with the game. I know that most of you have done this a million times. You're on computer games, you know what you're doing, but it's on the screen in case you want to see how simple the process is to take a look at the controls. I spent about 10 minutes walking around before I decided, screw it, I better look these things up because it wasn't going so well. And with this being such a shorter game, I would obviously recommend jumping into the prologue. It isn't just a filler of any sort, BS content. It helped me learn the controls, the vibe of the game, and the setup to the main story as well. So as you progress to the main game, you're going to find yourself as Emma, who's an intern for a local news crew pulling up to the murder house. This is a home of a child-killing Easter Bunny who was convicted and sentenced to death a few years earlier. Of course, there's always some other side to the story or a little twist that you'll find out as you go along, and you will spend the next, 3 hours really diving in and breaking down that story, but also trying to survive. Now that we've got the basic information out of the way, let me promise you this: I will do my best not to spoil anything, as again, this is such a short game. And again, you never really know when you're working with an indie game if it's going to be short or long unless you're really diving into reviews. But I'm going to do my best not to show you too much because I don't want to blow anything for any of you. With that said, I think that we should move on to the positives and negatives of the game. We always start with what I liked most. So here are my positives. I mentioned the art style, and I believe that using the more classic PS1 graphics along with that VHS fuzz overlay helps really set the tone to the game. The controls are simple, easy to use. I didn't feel that they were clunky, except one or two small little, hiccups here or there. Also, I was on the edge of my seat, truly nervous during pretty much the entire prologue and the main game of Murder House. It made for a really fun stream. People were getting a kick out of it. The story behind the game is interesting as well and progresses well enough to bring out more of that back information. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, and perhaps the most important thing for me is, did I have fun? And yes, I had a great time with this game. And look, I don't know if I've ever played a truly perfect game. I don't think it's possible, but I recognize that these people and these teams work extremely hard on something that they are passionate about. So with that said, I had a few negatives for me. The sound effects as a whole are actually really great, but there are a couple, and in particular, a room in the prologue that just made my ears want to bleed. Looking back, it was probably the only time I really got irritated with the sound effects, but I was also missing this clue, and I walked through that room about 1,000,000 times, and it was driving me nuts. But that's really the only time. The next few are positives and negatives as well. Again, the art style is great. The pixelation is wonderful, but at the same time, it makes certain clues that should be easy to find, they actually become easy to miss, from time to time. I brought up a short game previously. Sometimes it's great to play a game and be done with it in one sitting, and I felt that was fine for this game. But I started to wonder, with such a cool story and idea, what this could have been like at 25 to 30 hours. The story had me interested the entire time, but I want to warn you that it does have to do with child killing, specifically with an Easter bunny. So a warning to people who are sensitive to any form of topic like that. And finally, without giving away any clues, the ending felt exciting for a moment, right? You're in there, you're finishing up the game, but then it's almost as if the developers were just like, F it, we don't care what you think's gonna happen, boom. And I'm sorry, it wasn't for me. The official ending did not work for me, but that's just a personal view on it. All in all, though, what would I rate Murder House on my scale, given all of the circumstances? I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. Again, I'm personally looking at this as if I just played through a really cool old 80s movie. The story was there. I was on the edge of my seat most of the time. The puzzles were simple and rewarding. Yes, there are a few annoyances, and I think endings can make or break movies, let alone games. And in this one, it made me laugh. Did I think they were kind of ridiculous? And I said, what the hell? Yes, but I had fun, and I still enjoyed the entire experience. That's what I have for you guys today. Again, please leave a comment below, like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe, hit the bell if you'd like to get notifications for those few videos that I'm going to have per month. And again, thank you as always for the support, and I will see you all soon.
Shall we begin?